Good evening. My name is Battalion Chief Brian Applegate. I'm from the New Lenox Fire District. And I'm going to be talking to everybody today about the future of community risk reduction, and it's a guide to making your community safer. I just want to welcome all the fire marshals, the representatives from NFPA, fire chiefs, distinguished personnel that may be in the crowd. I really appreciate you being here and taking a listen to what I have to say today. Um, what we're going to discuss um, after I get going a little bit is just a little bit about me. Currently, I am a battalion chief and a shift commander from the New Lenox Fire District in New Lenox, Illinois, which is about 23 miles southwest of Chicago. I have about 20 years of fire service experience within three different fire departments. Currently, I'm my department's grant writer. In the past, I've served as a fire inspector for 5 years. Uh, at one point, I was appointed the acting public information officer and life safety fire educator uh, within the organization for a few months until they could find a replacement. So that was a temporary position. I'm very active in community risk reduction. Currently, I'm working on a community risk reduction plan within my organization. I'm very active within the community. I try to stay very engaged and do what I can to make my community safer. I'm also a fire arson investigator and a hazardous material specialist with the Illinois Task Force One organization, which is a statewide deployment team, and in disaster situations, we would get deployed to various areas. So that's just a little bit about me. I kind of have a diverse background, but I'm really looking forward to talking to you all today and letting you know what my topic is here. Um, what we're going to be discussing today is mental health and wellness. So, as our society continues to navigate ever so changing cultures and environments, emergency services must adapt with this change and ensure that we are offering services that can assist people with getting definitive care and making our communities safer. And we really have had a lot of different types of cultures that have been around as of late. Um, there's been a lot of uh, community issues and mental health and wellness issues within our communities just because of these cultures. And we can't seem to get on the right side of it. And one thing that we need to do as healthcare providers in the fire department or public safety organizations is to get ahead of this thing and try to really change these people's lives by getting them the help that they need. And that's one thing that I'm going to talk about today is how that's going to change the fire service and how we respond to these incidents. The fire service culture right now, um, if anyone has been to FDIC recently, there was a speaker this year by the name of Chief David Rhodes from the Atlanta Fire Department. And he was talking about how the fire service culture is. And instead of taking an approach to save lives and property and developing policies that are effective, um, rather than just checking the boxes. Unfortunately, the fire service has become a business. Um, in past years, even when I started in the fire service in 2004, we were doing things to make our community safer and making sure that we were taking the right approaches to life safety and ensuring that we were providing the best service possible. And now, we're checking boxes and we're making sure we're trying to appease everyone. And unfortunately, in today's society, that's just not possible. We have to get back to what our predecessors have really done before we came here, and that's laying the groundwork of service before self and strong work ethic. And nowadays with the fire service personnel and the new guys that are coming into this job and girls that are coming into this job, you know, they want to earn their paycheck, but they also like, when's the next time can I use a sick day? When do I get to be off? And I understand that off time is what we need to keep our mental health well also, but that shouldn't be the first thing that we think about when we walk through the door for our shift. The fire service is, the best job in the world, and our culture does not reflect that right now. And I think that going forward, we are the ones that have to change that. the generation that is the blue collar worker that's going to come in and do this job for the right reasons and make things around us better. So, how we do fix it: improve our leadership, put chiefs at the top of the organization that are experienced, that have the right education, and proactive mindset to changes within the community. Our communities are ever changing. They're going to keep growing. They're going to keep expanding. We're going to have new diverse populations. But let's just not promote the guy that has been there for 25 years. That doesn't mean anything. You need to be invested and have a proper education and be willing to make hard decisions and take a dynamic approach to the job. But we also need to train our people better. As a fire service, we're still setting our firefighters up to fail. We're not giving them the right tools to be successful. And right now, our firefighters, they kind of just go with the motions, and there's really no motivation to get a higher education or to get better trained. We have to push that as leaders, and I feel like if we do that from the top, it's going to resonate with the guys down at the bottom, no matter how big or small your department is. Establish a positive, proactive, and supportive culture within your organization. And that's really important. It's important to be positive. It's important to take a 360-degree view instead of just a straight line to something. Being proactive, supporting your people, encouraging them to work at their max potential, and then providing a consistent message from the top down to execute the mission of the organization. We all have to be on the same page, to staying true to our values and establishing all the expectations that administration wants for the people, what they expect out of us, what they expect out of you. That's how we fix this thing and really get the fire service back on track. So basically what I want to talk to you about today is mental health response. In my organization, in my area, we've seen crisis interventions or psychiatric emergencies. They've increased substantially. Over 100 calls for service in 2023. Right now, we're on pace to surpass that. We're probably going to be in the neighborhood of 150 to 200 this year. It's going up. Nationwide, there's been a steady increases in calls for mental health crises or emergencies, and I'll explain that in a graph that I have attached to this. But some of the causes of that are homelessness, drug abuse, alcohol abuse, financial problems, domestic violence, you name it. We never know what the other person is going through. And of course, you always have the diagnosed mental illnesses, anxiety, schizophrenia, just to name a couple. But you just never know. There's chemical imbalances in people that we'll never see. So we really have to we have to pay attention to that and then be able to adapt to it. So as you can see, the facts don't lie. And this was a study from 2018 to 2020. You can see there about 96% of any mental health disorder are used by the non-Hispanic Black population. And you can see the different graphing models there, but you can see how our health industry is being overrun and inundated with people with substance abuses, nicotine, alcohol abuse. There's other ones that are also out there as well, and they're on the lower end. But you can see the demographic of what people need the most help, and how are we going to get them that help? How are we going to reach out to them? How are we going to check up on them? So this is from the Health and Human Services Department for the United States, and as you can see, it doesn't lie, and we're experiencing these same stats in my area. We have behavioral hospitals that are not being able to take any more patients because they have no more beds, they're full. So it's a growing problem within the United States and beyond. So mental health training for emergency responders, we need to know more than just a basic knowledge of what this stuff is. How are we going to respond to it? How are we going to treat it? How are we going to talk to people? It's all important in really getting them the care that they need. We are not trained to the level as we should be with how many incidents we're responding to. We just are not. We need to be better in the way of training ourselves to set everybody up for success. Currently, we don't have enough knowledge in order to do that. Going forward, EMT and paramedic certification or licensing programs, they really would benefit from having mental health experts come in and talking and going in depth with some of this stuff of how to de-escalate situations, what an autistic person may be going through if they're going through a crisis, or a manic person. How do we really de-escalate that situation and make it more calm? It'd be surprised that, if when the situation calms down, how much easier it becomes to get that person care. So if we increase the amount of training that we get in this area, it's going to help us further down the road. Some training options that we have, crisis intervention training. A lot of our police officers in my area have that. They have at least one CIT officer on shift at all times. But it's a 40-hour course designed for police officers, but it also can be attended by us, so why not? Use that training to your advantage. It's going to help in de-escalation strategies and really assisting people with how they're reacting to the situation and what we can do as responders to comfort them, to ease them, and to lead them into a better situation of getting care. So the benefits of it, 80% of law enforcement injuries when responding to a mental illness are reduced. It increases the officers and firefighters' knowledge of mental illness. Really gives us a little, not an in-depth insight, but enough insight into what somebody may be going through that we can actually help them and fix the problem, or at least get them to care. And also, yes, can assist with getting patients in mental crisis to their definitive care. So whether that be a behavioral hospital, a regular hospital, if we called a social worker, their social worker. So there's a lot of different options there. And then emergency medical system training for mental health care and response. It's important that, the EMS systems that we work under, they don't just give us a PowerPoint and say, hey, read the PowerPoint, fill out the questions, and hey, you've got knowledge on mental health. They should be coming out and actually instructing us on this stuff. It's going to help dramatically, in the grand scheme of things. Community outreach. So after we noticed and investigated this problem with mental health crises and increase in psychiatric evaluation calls within my area, it's a problem that needs to be addressed. And it's up to the fire department and community partners really to come up with a solution to fix this, to remedy the issue if we want it to go away. So the mental health crisis and response is no different. This is how the community becomes safer and healthier. If we attack the problem, we get patients that are going through crisis the definitive care that they need. Some of those problems start to dwindle away. And this leads to our communities being safer, our neighborhoods being safer, our firefighters, our paramedics, and our police officers being safer. So fire departments can use resources at the local, county, and state and federal levels. In my organization, we use it at the local and county levels. Right now, we're in talks with our county social workers and county government that they are operating a fully funded program for this reason, for mental health and ensuring we get people to the care that they deserve and need. So we want to work with these partners and stakeholders like the police department social worker, which New Lenox Police has one. We just met the other day with her. Local municipality mental health services, if they're offered or if they're in your area. Most people may be at the county or city level. It just really depends on where you're at, but there's resources out there for you to use. So whether that be a mental health response from social workers, county offered programs, our county is very proactive with this, and they have a response team that is required, if they're called, to be at a location or with that person that's requesting them an hour and a half from the call. So no matter where they are in the county, our county is pretty big. So you also have the local hospitals, behavioral hospitals in the area or region. But it's all about how you want to reach out and make those connections. If you have strong leadership, at the chief level, establishing those partnerships and those relationships are super important, and then will help you going forward. All it takes is one organization to establish a mental health response program or initiative. Once one community sees this, a lot of other ones want to dive in and really attack it with you, and that's how things spread. Um, Not from just a local level, but then become a regional level and maybe a state level or um, a national level. All of these things really help in the in the long run. But we have to talk and market ourselves. We have to market these programs. We're going to talk to people doing various trainings, meetings, mutual aid agreements, even. But it's important to talk to one another and understand um, what what each other is doing. Then you provide a better service. Then you can branch out more and affect more people and actually make the whole area better. So those are very important things, and something that we strive to do is really engage with our community partners um, and and inform them of what we're doing. So maybe we can start driving this thing forward more and helping uh, more people out in the as a result. Mental health response. So with this, it'll do a few things for us. It's going to reduce the number of times EMS deals with the same person. A lot of times, what we call frequent flyers or what I call repeat offenders is they'll call 911 for the same things over and over and over again. And if we get them the care that they need, that's going to stop. So that's going to be less on our apparatus. That's going to be less that our firefighters and paramedics and police officers are in harm's way. It's getting them definitive care that they need. It's reducing the number of times that we're on the road driving to and from these places, because that's generally the most times we're going to get hurt is going to and from incidents. Not overloading the hospital systems. Right now, like I said, our behavioral hospital is full. They have no beds. So if we can do that stuff, if we can start reducing the risk of additional mental health patients by getting some people definitive care, and some of these people may even know each other. They say, well, hey, they referred me to this. That could spread that way. So it's a very it could be a very proactive response to some of this stuff. Also assist the fire department and other community partners to reduce the risk to responders in the community. We kind of already talked about that, but it's going to do that dramatically. Once we help one person, that's all it's going to take for things to steamroll and really make a positive impact. Workforce changes, we have a lot of them. Since COVID, public safety has not been the first choice of individuals looking for a job. In my region, we are seeing very low turnouts for entry-level testing and positions, both fire and police. It's very tough to get good people right now. Part of that is because the paramedic programs were shut down during COVID, so we have a lack of paramedics. And then the police, unfortunately, have been vilified. Whatever your political backing is, our police are not respected, and no one wants to be a police officer right now. And it's a shame. So it's, recruitment and retention in public safety right now is very difficult. And we have to find creative ways to get around that and really market ourselves better, and know that our leadership is going to take care of our people and support them. So in order to provide the best service, we have to have committed people that are going to put the public before themselves. And right now, unfortunately, it's very hard to find, but they're out there. We just need to find them and recruit them and ensure that we take care of them when they're with us. Future challenges, you're always going to have some money problems. A lot of things are monetarily driven, unless you're blessed to have a fully funded program. Right now, we are pretty fortunate because our county funds our behavioral health program at 100%. That's why they're able to be available 24/7 if we call them. So if you don't have funding, then you have to reach out and maybe grants or state money. Reach out to your congressmen, senators, regional representatives, whoever you have to talk to get your programs funded. Political problems. It's the political issue of mental health is a problem in itself because some people use it as a political pawn. And that's just my own personal opinion. But this really needs to be a bipartisan issue. We all should be willing to take care of one another and come to a common ground and a solution to really drive mental health forward and assure that we give public safety entities the proper tools and equipment and funding to do their job so we can make our communities safer. We already talked about staffing and personnel, and then the leadership. Leadership is huge. If we don't have the right leaders in the right spots, you're really not going to have a positive outcome. So, having those leaders that are engaged, educated, and willing to make difficult decisions to put programs in place so that we can move community risk reduction forward. As far as fire department leadership goes, chiefs are going to be expected to identify a risk, follow the risk management model, and implement a strategy to solve it. We kind of already talked about that. With the mental health program we're putting in place at my organization, we have to manage it appropriately. We're going to see what works and what doesn't. But with that, we want to ensure that you have positive and open relationships with your community leadership organizations. You're remaining flexible. No program is going to be perfect right out of the gate, so you really have to manage it well, and be dynamic and understand that things are going to be ever changing. You're open and transparent with the staff because they're going to be driving the message. So we need to be transparent with them and understand that they're going to have questions and comments and concerns as well, because they're going to be the boots on the ground doing the work. So it's very important that we take care of them as well, and then adjust the program as necessary. It's all part of program management. And then the goal of the program, any mental health program is going to be to educate public safety personnel and give them the tools to do their job, keeping us safe, reducing the number of times we're responding to medical crisis incidents, and really assisting other agencies and communities with branching out and offering the same services, and thus then we'll be able to take care of more people and reduce risk of mental health in a certain region. So it's very important, and I think it's worth it in the end. I was really happy to present this to you today. If you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. I appreciate your time. Thank you.